Let's say hello to Jimbo. He's just a joker. In any other game, he's left out the deck and has no value. But in Balatro, Jimbo and other jokers upgrade your poker hands, allowing you to create powerful card synergies. Every run requires a new strategy. Harness these jokers to their full potential and optimize your deck to defeat tricky enemy boss blinds.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 88 of the video game podcast Between the Joysticks. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined by my co-host, John, over here. John, I don't want to do this, but we're going to start with continuing a conversation we had last week.
Is this what you were mad about? Now I finally get to know?
Yeah. So I teased John before we started recording that I'm not a happy boy.
It wasn't so much that. It was him in his desk going, ugh.
That conversation is about the review scales that we started talking about last week. Apparently, I'm in the minority because multiple people have written in agreeing with John, which
I'm just trying to make our show better.
Is a mistake.
I'm just trying to make our show better for the audience, Nick.
I apologize to pal of the show, Mark. I don't remember where you wrote in at, and I cannot find it. I think he tweeted at us.
Okay. And
I couldn't find it, but he said, "Come on, Nick." I didn't remember that's how it ended. And he agrees with John. Pal of the show, Nick also wrote in, review scales up to 5 has the same issues as 1 and 2 don't really matter, and 3 and 4 is almost every game unless it's in the realm of perfection. I think out of 10 gives you more range to really place games where they belong, although I don't agree with John's out of 10 with stuff like 8.8. That's too much.
That was me trying to get under Nick's skin. It usually works pretty well.
And pal of the show, Jesse, also wrote in, as far as the number grading system, initially I like the out of 10 scale, but as you guys have been doing the out of 5 scale, I've gotten used to it. I find that 3 out of 5 means it's a good game, but as long as you can explain your reasoning for the number, it doesn't really matter what it is. Why don't you just use your own scale system? John can use out of 10 and Nick can use out of 5. So,
yeah, we could do that. And I think the audience has spoken. I think as long as I get the win, I'm not happy.
And I want to make one final point here, because John and I don't play games in a vacuum. We know generally what a game's review. We know what a review score of a game is before we play it. And John, the little prissy person that he is, will never play a game that reviews a below an 8 anyway. So the review scale for John is just dumb anyway, because every game he plays will be an 8, a 9, or a 10.
Which is why I need to get more granular.
Like, you won't be able to be like me who played Gotham Knights last year, or like me who played Saints Row and uses the points on the scale.
It's just a waste of time on your end, buddy.
No, 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 for some people, it can be a 10 out of 10. You know.
Listen, different strokes for different folks, but
I'm just saying.
My time is more important than your time, is what we know.
If I change the review scale, will you challenge yourself to play a worse reviewed game?
No. I mean, there's so many amazing games that I can't play. Why even try to go down that path?
I don't know.
I will say this.
Okay.
I'd be more likely to play a game that you tell me to play. I'm not going to seek out a 7 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10. I will never do that. But if you're like, look, I want you to play this game. I think there's good value there, but I want your opinion. Maybe I would do that.
I'm saying just challenge yourself this year. Yeah, I know your free time. You want to play the best games of trying a game, probably like that's on PS Plus Extra while you still have it. That is reviewed lower than you're usually expecting.
Yeah, like something like a Callisto Protocol.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying.
Extra would be the place to find a game like that, for sure. If like Stellar Blade comes out, it's unfortunate, like a 78. I'll still play that.
Yeah, but then you're spending money now. I don't know about that.
I don't know. I'm not going to commit to anything, but
I'm just challenging you.
Yeah.
So are we changing the scale?
It's up to you. I think the people spoke.
Oh, I never
We also talked to in-person opinions today, and they also agreed with me. So.
I know.
So
maybe I'll put a poll out, and then we'll
no,
just...
I think you're holding on for dear life here, Nick.
Fine. All right. We're gonna start reviewing out of 10. That's fine. I can do that. John gets that win, so now we can rate a game an 8, 9, or a 10 now.
Yes.
Okay.
He says saltily.
I do.
You
Whatever.
can still say a 7. You can still say a 6.
You won't though.
Probably not. I mean, I would have given Cyberpunk a 7.
Gross.
Just to twist that knife.
Gross.
Twist the knife.
John doesn't know good games.
Yeah,
I think that's
true.
what we're learning here.
As we'll talk about later.
Speaking of reviews, another thing I wanted to touch on is March 22nd is kind of a big day for video games. 3 big games are coming out on the same day. Rise of Ronin, the PS5 console exclusive from Koei Tecmo, Princess Peach Showtime from Nintendo, and Dragon's Dogma 2 from Capcom. John, I want you to rank which games do you think is going to review the best to worst, and I want you to predict the score. See how close you can get.
Oh, boy. Well, let me put them in. Okay.
He's got his thinking cap on, folks.
Number 1, Dragon's Dogma 2.
Okay.
Just the preview coverage of this game and things that people are saying about it leads me to believe that it will be a Game of the Year contender. People saying that it's one of their favorite experiences they've had in a while. So I think that one will come out on top. I'm going to predict a 91 for Dragon's Dogma 2. Unfortunately, if that comes to pass, that'll be one of the bigger black marks on both Nick and I as we poo-pooed this game a little bit when we saw it first be released.
You've been on top of it. You've been high on it. I've been the one that hasn't think it's shown as well.
But I was just like, I don't know. But, So I think that one and then 91. Next, I'm going to go with Rise of Ronin. I'm going to say that's an 82.
Boy.
And then I'm going to guess Princess Peach is a 79.
79. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I did play the Peach demo. Did not really enjoy it personally. Okay. It seems very shallow. Like, you kind of enter the world and, there's little doors you can go into, right? This is the sword fighting door and this is the cook door. And similarly to maybe like a Kirby where you like put on the hat and it changes your attack a little bit.
Right.
That's like all it's really doing.
Right. Okay.
And so similarly to like Yoshi's Crafted World, some of that kind of stuff, there is that like mid-tier Nintendo range, and I think this will fall into that.
It's true. That's true. Okay.
Yeah. But I think the sales will probably be the flip of all that.
Right.
So,
Oh, for sure.
Whatever.
I mean, the Switch install base, that's
Yeah.
a Nintendo first-party game, like Slam Dunk, typically. So, yeah, you're right.
So, yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know. I mean, we did see our first Rise of Ronin score today. Famitsu was pretty high on it. So, that one might surprise us,
I think they're pretty high on everything, though.
They are. Yeah, they,
So
they are a weird review company.
Yeah. Famitsu is a Japanese magazine.
Yeah.
That kind of typically gets a look at Japanese games early.
I think famously, they gave the 2005 release for the Nintendo DS Nintendogs got a 40 out of 40 from Famitsu.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, there you go. So,
but they also gave 40 out of 40 to like Breath of the Wild and Persona and like,
right,
good games too. So they're kind of weird.
Okay. All right, and I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm gonna flip Princess Peach and Rise of Ronin. I just Koei Tecmo is like, they're a weird company.
They are.
Who would have thought Wo Long was in that 82, 81 range. Yeah. Same with Neo, seems to like be in that area too. So maybe you're right. But
Koei Tecmo is always right on that cusp. They never reach that.
So I think I would switch Princess Peach and Rise of Ronin and have similar scores. So Princess Peach will probably be in the low 80s, and Rise of Ronin will be the high 70s. So.
You think Dragon's Dogma was low 90s? Or do you think that's high 80s?
High 80s. I'm thinking 88, 89.
Okay.
I think. We'll see.
Yeah.
We're going to find out in a few days. So possible by the time you listen to this podcast that they'll be out there.
So it seems like, you'll have Rebirth done probably by the end of the month. Any of those games? Like, because I know you're kind of... Before Rebirth came out, even you were like, I don't know what to play. So, are you gonna jump at any of those, or
probably not right now? I still have to beat Infinite Wealth,
right?
And I have Hi-Fi Rush now. So,
ooh, yes, you do.
I haven't started playing it yet, but as of this recording, previously Xbox exclusive Hi-Fi Rush is on PlayStation 5. So
Great game.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get to that. So I will
I
probably...
think I gave it a 5 out of 5 or 10 out of 10. But it would have been a 9 out of 10.
Anyway. So yeah, probably after Rebirth, it'll be Hi-Fi Rush and then into Infinite.
Okay, fair enough.
And then from there, I'll decide.
And then Stellar Blade, maybe.
And Dave the Diver in April. So
Ooh, keep forgetting about these little ones that are sneaking in.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, there's some games.
Yeah.
All right, and then lastly, I didn't touch on this with all of our news items, but famed Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama passed away. He was the creator of the Dragon Ball manga, which was a huge anime here in the States and all over the world. And, of course, also wrote the Sandland manga, which is an upcoming video game that just got a demo.
Sandland got a demo?
Yep. It got a demo yesterday, so the day before this episode is being published. And then, of course, his art is used in famed video game franchises such as Dragon Quest and Chrono Trigger. Like his what he did and his impact on the world of anime, manga, and video games is incredible. And it is very sad that he passed away.
Yeah, I mean, he would make a run for the most influential, prolific art style animation guy ever. Like, the only person I can think of that even really rivals that is Hayao Miyazaki from Studio Ghibli. And short of that, you think of art styles, you think of Pixar, but that's not one person. Like, this shit came from him. And yeah, 60. How old did you say he was? He was like 60. He was young, man.
I didn't say his age. I didn't know how old he was.
He was 69 or 68.
Yeah.
Died from a brain bleed. Yeah, subdural hematoma. So, rest in peace.
Yeah,
he is a true legend.
Yeah, like I said, his impact on pop culture is, there are very few people.
You could probably make an argument that the reason that weebs maybe not weebs exist, but like he was so influential with just. I mean, I remember being an 11-year-old kid coming home from school, racing to get home by 3:30 because I wanted to be there for when Dragon Ball Z came on and see that. And, that was 23 years ago at this point, and that was 20 years into Dragon Ball Z existing at that point. So
Yep. So just incredible. And I forgot to mention that, but wanted to bring it because, again, we're a gaming podcast, and he had a giant impact on video games. So. All right, so now we can move into the show. This is how the show works. John and I both can bring up to 3 things to talk about. It can be a video game we're playing. John is bringing Balatro. It can be a news item. We're going to talk about PS5 Pro.
What?
Rumors.
What?
It can be a topic. John and I are going to go over our perfect gaming pie. We'll explain what that means a little later. And then it can also be an email from you, a listener. You can email in at betweenthejoysticks@gmail.com. You can DM or follow us on Twitter at joystickspod, or you can comment on our YouTube page at Between the Joysticks. You can go there and see a video edition of this very podcast. Any of those things, we can bring it and we can talk about it. And today we have 4 things for you. So let's kick it off. The PS5 Pro. If you remember, John and I both predicted this thing to exist this year. Recapping on our predictions, this is going to be a high-end console that's going to be running, and this is our predictions, 60 FPS at 4K. John said it'd be priced at $650. I said $600. We both believe that it'll be discless. We both believe that there will be a game launched with it. And then not so much anymore, which we'll get into. And then I said it'd be coming out this November. John said holiday, so we're giving John December and October, and I get November as far as the prediction points are concerned.
Oh, I didn't realize you stole November from me. Thief. I don't want December. Who wants December?
Well, the PlayStation Portal came in December, so they have launched hardware in December before. But Tom Henderson, a reliable leaker who has leaked the PlayStation Portal, and that was a true piece of hardware that he has talked about. Has more leaks regarding the PS5 Pro. We're going to get into some of the specs here. So, it's not something I'm entirely interested in, but I did want to bring it. So this is what he's got. It's going to be 45% faster at rendering than the PS5, 2 to 3 times better at ray tracing, 4 times in some cases.
4x? Whoa.
33.5 teraflops, which is over 3 times as much as the PS5 currently. It'll have PSSR, which is PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution Upscaling. So again, this is a way to bring up the resolution. This is like a software system that will upscale your image.
PC version? DLSS?
Yeah.
That's what PC does. So
it depends on your manufacturer. If it's NVIDIA or AMD, they both have their own.
Same
technology. Yep. So it basically takes a 1080p game and makes it 4K through software. Support for resolutions up to 8K is planned. So in future iterations, so John and I, 60 FPS 4K is still on the table. Custom machine learning architecture, and it will have an AI accelerator. And then they go into more details of that I don't want to get into. But this will be the first system to run that spectral super resolution, the PSSR that they're talking about. That won't be a feature in the current PlayStation 5. All right, John. We're revisiting this topic. We've talked about it many times. What do you think? Are you still feeling strong about your prediction?
In some ways. I think it's pretty safe to say this thing is coming this year. Whether it's October or closer to the holidays, I'm not sure. I mean, one thing is for sure, they don't need to have a long lead in time to this, right? They could announce it and say it's coming out in 3 or 4 weeks.
So challenging that statement you just said, we know Sony has said they have no big first-party tentpoles coming out between now and March of next year.
Right.
They said that in a shareholder meeting. Now, can they launch a PS5 Pro without an Uncharted 5, without a Ghost of Tsushima 2, without a big tentpole game that makes you want to get a considerably higher priced console?
I think it is a tough ask on the surface level, but if we look at the trajectory that Sony PlayStation has had over the past couple of years, even going back as far as 10 years, they sell no matter what. Like, PS5 has been trouncing Xbox Series X, and yes, there's games like Spider-Man 2 and God of War Ragnarok on there, but one could argue that they haven't had really any huge, besides Spider-Man 2, really any big first-party game since almost going all the way back to God of War Ragnarok, and they still dominated last year. So I think they're on this trajectory that they can't really be stopped in terms of, like, the consumer looking at a product and going, nah, I'm going to look at the other side of the aisle instead. From the get-go, a Pro model of a console is a boutique item. It is for the enthusiasts in the ecosystem, for the people who really want to push the boundaries, and want to get 4K 60, or even seeing rumors that this thing might be able to do 4K 120. So do they need to show a game alongside it to justify that? I don't really think so, because if you're going to be one of these people that want to get it, especially from the get-go, you're probably somebody who's looking at spec sheets. You're looking at, like, what are the actual differences between my current console and machine versus what I'm going to get. And we all know that games are going to come. Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to come next year. That is going to be a game that, if it does everything we think it's going to do, it's going to be the most robust experience ever made, with probably the most graphical intensities ever made, and the PS5 Pro is going to be the place to play it. I don't really know what a teraflop fucking means, if I'm being honest. I wish I could see, like, some sort of chart that says, like, this is what 2 teraflops is, this is what 10 teraflops is, but, like, I really feel like it's not that big of a deal. I think it's possible without a big game.
Yeah. It would be interesting. It would be nice. You should have a product a software to just really show this off. Maybe a new Astrobot just for this game.
That's kind of the other side of it too, is, Sony's really been working with these third-party relationships of exclusivity and things, and who's not to say that they have some other Square Enix type thing lined up, or some other third-party thing. I mean, we know that there might not be any existing franchises coming from Sony for the remainder of the year, but you'd be kidding yourself if there's not an unannounced project that's going to be the fall thing.
Be marketed by Sony.
Yeah. Yep. So, could be that. But I think the specs personally, man, like, I know you didn't quite ask this for right now, but like, I think this thing is beefier than I thought it was going to be. Is it something I personally want? I don't know.
You said yes in our predictions.
I did. And I think what it will come down to is like, am I still able to trade in my existing PlayStation 5 for a big meaty chunk? If GameStop's still willing to give me $350 for it, and this thing is $600, I could probably justify $200 pretty easily. But, if it is higher priced than that, if GameStop wants to get crappy and lower that because they know that's what people are gonna do, I don't think they will, because PlayStation 5s just hold their value like crazy right now.
Right.
But yeah, we'll see. It'll be hard not to get it. I will say that.
Yeah, and yeah, the key will be to market it as the best place to play. Like you mentioned, Grand Theft Auto 6. If you follow us on Twitter, Tom Warren of The Verge made that same point, which we made when this initially thing was announced. Is like, if you can, because there's no PC release date for Grand Theft Auto 6, so it'll at least get maybe a couple months, 6 months, maybe even a year. And if you can say the PS5 Pro is the best place to play,
right? You can play on a Series X. Sure, you can get 1080p and 60, or you can get 4K 120 over here.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah, or you can get, it can run at 4K, all 60 frames, on this thing. Like that. That's a huge sell. Yeah. And if I'm at Sony, that's what I want. That's what I want to do.
I don't know if it was intentional. I'm sure it was, but maybe they thought there'd be some Xbox product that's going to compete with this. Maybe there will be. I mean, not on this level, but Sarah Bond did say at their thing that they do have hardware coming. Right. Is it Project Brooklyn, which is just a digital version of the Xbox? Probably, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's very well timed for them, game or no game. And the specs, I think, are properly placed. The price is still obviously a huge piece of the puzzle we're missing. $599, I think, would be great. I think you get a lot of people in at that price. My $649 prediction, I think that's still possible. But if you go any higher than that, and $699 is that price where you go.
Right. Again, they've said as much, and we predicted as much that it will not have a disk drive. So. That'll keep the price down.
Yeah.
But of course,
But that's my 4K player. So
right.
I will, if I get this thing, I
you're
will buy
gonna have to add the $80.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll throw it on there. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like, again, in this current landscape, where it seems like the industry is volatile. PlayStation 5 sales are not going to meet their expectations. Phil Spencer has said console sales are stagnating across the board. Nintendo delaying the Switch out of this year, that we're going to get a super high-end console this year. seems wild to launch in this market, but as you said, if they market it as a boutique item and they market as, the premium place to play the big titles, old and new, they'll sell them.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find right now. So they're saying that the PS4 Pro was about 1 in every 5 PS4s.
I had one.
Yeah, so that would probably put it somewhere in the 25 million range, which seems high. I wouldn't have thought the PS4 Pro sold that much, but that was only also 3 years after release of the PS4. This will be 4 years if it comes out this fall after release. So. But, you did have the COVID slowdown and everything. So I think it's still pretty much in line with all that. But, it's exciting. I know there's some people that just want that shiny new box, man. If I can even just have another day of sitting, waiting at my window and watching the FedEx truck drive up to my car or my house and then drive away and then hope that the next one's it. And it's fun.
It's
fun stuff.
It's another reason to get our expectations out of control for our next Sony showcase again, even though we didn't learn from last time when we did that. So.
Does it come shipped with Astrobot Playroom on it? It'd be weird if it didn't.
Or if there's like a newer version of that game that's really flashy.
That'd be crazy and a crazy waste of time for a Sobe. Give us a game. We'll pay you money for it. We promise.
I don't know. Do you think it might sell consoles if there's a cool Astrobot game that's exclusive to the Pro?
I think people would be pissed off about that. Yes,
Well, if it's a 4-hour experience, I don't know.
Yeah, but if there's no way to play it outside of a pro, I would be mad. I would be pissed about that. I mean, unless if they just like a la carte for PS5 users, built-in PS5 Pro.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but no, exciting. And again, like I said, I expect we will hear about this sometime this year, probably in the fall if it's coming out.
Yeah, I mean, do you think they'll do a short announcement, like official announcement to release type thing, like they usually do?
Yeah.
Or like maybe not an announcement, but like when they officially show it off.
Yeah, I think they'll in the that September where they always have a showcase with
or State of Play or something.
With Nintendo when they share the same date for the last 2 years, that whatever that date is that they both agree upon, that that we'll hear about it then. If there is a May showcase, I don't think it'll. All right, so let's move on to our next topic, a video game. John is bringing a new game.
A new one, dude. It's not like some old game that came out 3 years ago. I can actually talk about something.
And a game that I'm very excited to hear about. So we got John's impressions, but a listener of the show also wrote in. So where do you want to start? You want the listener email first? Or do you want to take the lead?
Depends who it's from. Who's it from?
It is from Jesse.
Yeah, give me Jesse.
All right. So Jesse wrote in, just like you can, at betweenthejoysticks@gmail.com. He wrote, "Hey guys, you told me to write in about Balatro, so I'm here to be the decider for you. I put in about 8 hours and one run so far out of about 30. I'm not a big poker person, but this is an addictive and challenging game. The basic rules are that you select blinds, and then you have to meet a certain number of chips to beat the blind and move on to the next one. There's a small blind, large blind, and then a boss. You play poker, hands in order to get chips. The Joker card is the roguelike element. You can buy them from the store after every round, up to 5 Jokers, and they can be things like every even number card you play, 2, 4, 6, 8, adds plus 4 to your multiplayer, but they can get pretty crazy, and you can break the game if you get the right mix of them. Mm-hmm. There's over 150 Jokers in the game, and it is up to you to discover them. You start with a standard red deck and unlock new colored decks and difficulties, which change how the game is played. 2 blue decks give you an extra hand every round. Yellow deck gives you an extra $10 to start with. So far, the only negatives for me are that it is very hard. Maybe I just need to get better. And that nothing really carries over when you end a run except for unlocked decks and difficulties. Yep. But other than that, I highly recommend it for the price, but there's also a trial on the store that gives you an hour to play. Overall, I give this game a 4 out of 5 or an 8.5 out of 10.
Boy, Jesse.
So does that line up with you? Because I knew like this is a hard game to explain.
It is. Yes, this is if you
poker roguelike.
If what Jesse said or what I'm about to say intrigues you at all, I do highly recommend still watch some gameplay of this because it is very unique and surface level seems kind of like something you would play on your grandma's old like calculator or something. Mm-hmm. It's a poker game, but no, this game is pretty wild, dude. So yeah, like as Jesse said, it is a poker-themed roguelike deck-building video game developed by Local Thunk and published by PlayStack. Fun fact, Local Thunk is one of those solo developers, which are always just really super cool. So this dude's loaded now. But I'm really glad, Nick, we were going to podcast yesterday. Things rise up like they always do. And so I'm glad we didn't, though, because my opinion of this game did change last night where I finally took the time to sit down and learn it.
Okay.
Like any game, you kind of approach it, you learn the systems, you learn how it works, but especially with roguelikes, you always are kind of feeling like, am I doing this the right way? Is this the way this game's meant to be played, or am I just kind of making my own rules and getting through it? And I realized that I was doing it incorrectly.
Gotcha.
I'm 34, played poker a lot in my life. So to shake off that 30 years of, you just want the highest hand you can, right? I can get a full house or I can get a straight. I'm going full house. I can get a royal flush. I'm doing that. That's not really how this game works, where I started to realize just how the Jokers impacted everything. And at first, like Jesse said, you can get ones that, if you play a 2 or a 4 or 6 or an 8, it adds multipliers. But what you start to realize is that if you can build your jokers into a system that complement one another, it doesn't fucking matter what you play. And that's kind of a very freeing feeling. Someone who likes to break roguelikes open like this, that was one of my complaints. I was like, I don't see how you can break this game open, because I was like, I can't control what cards I'm getting. So if I have this joker that's giving me +4 for my 2s and 4s, and I have jacks and queens and aces, I'm fucked.
Right.
So I looked it up and I was like, how do you deal with this game? And the dude I found who was explaining it was like, he called it the flush fallacy. And what I realized when I played this game, right, you get your 7 or 8 cards, and then you're able to hold on to what you want, discard what you want, up to 5 cards. And so almost always I was seeing 4 spades, 3 hearts, 4 diamonds. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go for a flush. That's a good hand. But those flushes didn't complement the jokers I had, so it wasn't really doing anything for me. But when I found out that this is how you could do it, basically I built my jokers in a way where I was rewarding my pairs, my like low cards, high cards, just 1.5 multipliers, like low risk multipliers, where it's like you gain 1+ multiplier for every hand you play, and you gain -1 multiplier for every discard you have. Because I was going for a pair run or a high card run, it didn't matter what cards I have. So I didn't have to discard anything. So by like 47 hands in, I'm getting a 47 multiplier just from that one card. Boom, boom, boom. It all loads into each other. I get my 1.5 multiplier for that. I get my 2.6 multiplier for something else. All of a sudden, my multiplier is in like 475. And then I have something else that's giving me a bunch of chips. And like before I know it, I'm getting 300,000 chips per hand, when my old way of doing it, I was lucky if I could get to 10,000. Right. So really figuring out how this game worked is obviously key to it. And I'm going to try and see if I can show a little visual here too. As any roguelike, it's overwhelming. What does everything do? Binding of Isaac was like the key one with that, where there's 450 items in that game. They synergize with each other. I don't remember what they all do. Luckily, this one tells you, but it's still a little overwhelming. So I found this nice little handy guide where it kind of shows, see, all the different jokers and how good they are, and just kind of like, I saw my screen got dark, sorry.
Well, describe what you just showed.
So it's just a tier list of all the different jokers, right? So like this dude has it labeled, the top tier, basically run winners, fringe run winners, good tempo cards, good economy cards, difficult to make effective, unplayable or unpickable. And so it was just a nice little thing to have, to be like, okay, just don't pick anything unpickable. Like, is it going to be a waste of time? And once I started to like really kind of give the game the attention and the time and the brain power that I needed, definitely rewards you right back into it. I will say, I think this game will not have the legs that really good roguelikes typically have for me, because it is inherently poker. And poker's great, but it's not the most engaging for long periods of time, right?
Is this going to get us into our gaming pies? It's not, the gameplay is not.
Probably, yeah. It would be, What this game is teaching me is that like it's got great gameplay, but it doesn't have the moment-to-moment kinetic action of gameplay that I like. Right. So this game is weird, because I don't typically like deck builders. Like I thought Slay the Spire was a good game, but it didn't hold my attention. So I'm combating this. Don't really like cards, but like the jokers are really dope, and it scratches that itch of breaking the game, getting a ridiculous amount of chips, winning a run, getting new jokers. I like all that, but then inherently it goes back to, yeah, but like you just gave me 2 7s, 2 6s, 2 2s, and a 3, and like I can't do shit with that. Fuck this. Like this isn't fun. Right. So I don't know if it's gonna be something that I like just can't put down for years and years, like Binding of Isaac, a Hades, and Into the Breach, or anything like that. But if you know yourself well, if you know the types of games you like, for $20, it's great. Sitting at
What do you think of the art style? It's got kind of this like pixelated.
It's very pixely, yeah. I think it lends itself well to what the game is.
Okay.
Like anything more than that, like it'd be kind of cool if like there was, I think Marvel Snap did it, where you play a card and like animations happen.
Right.
That'd be cool, but knowing that it's a single developer and stuff, like it's fine. It does what you need it to do. But like, and there's also like extra layers that I haven't even touched on, where like, when you're upgrading your jokers, there's a shop you can go to where you have Arcana cards, which can basically modify the deck that you have, where you can like turn a ace into a steel ace. And if a steel ace is laid out on your cards, that does a 1.5 multiplier to your jokers, or a glass one, which can double. Like, there's so many different little things that it does get a little overwhelming. To Jesse's point, it can feel a little hard, but I think if you look into the things you need to look into, you can figure out that it's really not that difficult. And quite honestly, Jesse, so much so that I do start to worry that maybe with this little chart I found, it's making the game like cheating almost, where I'm like, oh, that's a bad joker. Nah. But like, it's the little things like don't spend all your money in the beginning because you get interest for every $5 you had. So first thing, get $25 because you're gonna keep padding your money, keep that money going, right? You're balancing all these different economies. But it's very, very good. I've only probably I've beaten one run, probably got about 6 hours in. I was talking to my brother-in-law who has 100, so he's still going strong. He loves this thing. But I'm going to keep going with it and, check out, see what I haven't even looked at the platinum yet. Oh. I don't think this is going to be a platinumable game for me, but as of now, it is a solid 9 out of 10. Solid 9 out of 10. This is not a 10. It's not an 8. This is a perfect 9 out of 10. Where, it's not specifically for me in a lot of ways, but I don't think anybody can really, nag on some of the what is there, the gameplay that is there. So for you, I would definitely recommend it for you. Like,
it's on my wish list.
If it's on sale or whatever the case may be, but it's cool. Yeah. I did see some articles saying, "Is this the game of the decade?" Slow down. But no, it's like perfect. Like this thing should come to phones, honestly.
I'm sure it is.
I'm sure it will too. But it's on everything. It's on Switch, PlayStation, computer, Xbox. It's everywhere. I believe it's $20. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's continuing this trend that I keep bringing up that 2024 is going to be a better year than 2023. So if I'm going to get teased about review scores by everyone now,
it's true.
I'm going to
as long as you're ready for the end of the year when you go, it was a better year, and I go, no, it wasn't, and then I add the totals together, and then
what totals? The Metacritic totals?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Because there still is nothing of the 96 caliber like 2 that were last year. That's one of the biggest sticking points.
Yeah, we'll see. The year is still going. So
it's true. All right.
We'll see.
You want to jump in the kitchen, Nick? Make some pies?
Yeah, let's explain your topic as
Sure.
We'll kind of get into how we evaluate what we find very delicious about an upcoming video games and how we kind of decide what we're going to play.
Sure. I felt really bad when I had to look into your eyes and tell you that I hadn't made it to Turtle yet in Jedi Survivor. So, this is one of many occurrences of me going, and you going, and me going, yeah. And then similarly to be like, a game like Brotato or Hades we both love. That's a bad example. Nier Automata. It's like we have different tastes. So let's get to the bottom of it. Let's figure out what are our perfect. Like if we could go to Naughty Dog and say, this is the percentages of my pie on what a perfect game is. Can you do it? Can you give me something back with that? This is what we would want. So there is no really. We didn't go through and be like, okay, here are 5 categories. Put numbers to them. I went off off of the cuff for me. I think you did the same. And
I went off the ones you gave me.
Okay, good. I told you to do.
And this is out of 100, right? Mm-hmm. All your pieces should add up to 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Good.
So, do you want to go? Should we do this all like I do all my pie and then you do?
No, I think you pick one of the categories and then we can discuss.
Okay.
How it rates to us. So,
all right.
So if you don't have to go in order or anything. Just you can pick one.
So I got narrative first.
Yeah, narrative first, of course.
All right. Do you want to predict each other's? Nah.
Yeah, nah. That's okay.
Okay. I got for narrative. Now I know you combined characters into this. I did keep that isolated out. Do you want me to, for the sake of this conversation, should I throw my character percentage in?
Whatever you want to do,
all right.
man.
Narrative and characters together for me, and this is like I branched them out because I think they can impact the game a little bit differently, but in the grand scheme of things, they are kind of one and the same when it comes to it. So I'll throw them both together. Narrative and characters together is 25% of my pie. I did break it out to 15 and 10, narrative and characters. Narrative is something in a game that can greatly enhance it. I think of The Last of Us. I think of God of War. But it is very, very, very rarely the driving force of a game that's going to get me through it. It's kind of how I feel about narrative.
Okay. I have it much higher.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Mine's at 40%. I love good story and a good and good characters. Now, this doesn't mean like I gravitate to a lot of, I do like the Life is Strange series and similar games like that, but it doesn't mean I've played every Telltale game or adventure game where it's basically 100% story.
Right.
But I do highly like a game with a great story, great emotional beats, and just great characters. That's a big reason why I like Rebirth right now, why I fell in love with Cyberpunk, Persona 5. We're seeing a trend here in my Game of the Year winners that that is a giant part of it. So
cool.
Yeah. All right.
40.
Yeah.
25. All right.
Can I pick the next topic?
Of course.
I want to know about trophies. I want to hear what percentage you have trophies.
So I did modify this one a little bit, and maybe I should have prefaced it with you, but I did relabel it meta, and I'll explain that.
Okay.
It's like trophies, the community, the messaging behind the game, like that, those intangibles that kind of make up some of that stuff.
Okay.
That being said, almost all of this is trophies. I put 5%.
Okay.
5% of my pie. It's something that can, really, really get me to want to get to the completion, but it's not going to ever determine if I play something or not.
Correct.
It is simply an additive thing.
Correct.
That really puts me over the edge.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel.
I have it at 5% as well. Okay. I like earning them. I love hearing that thing pop, and it's cool when the problem with trophies is like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Final Fantasy 16. It requires you to play the game twice, and that sucks. Like
Hi-Fi Rush is another example. I think you have to beat that game 5 straight times and every difficulty in order.
Right,
that's garbage.
And that's a lot of times to spend that I will not do. Right. I'd rather move on to other games. But when you can get a game like The Last of Us Part 2 or Spider-Man 2, where earning the trophies is just like kind of baked in, and you only have to do a little bit extra to get even more and to get to that platinum. It's yum, 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 yum.
Yeah. Like, dude, I don't know about you, but like when you like get to that point in the game where you've beaten it and you're like looking at your final 12 to 15 and you go to your trophy list and you go not earned, and you see it and you can like get really close to the bottom and you just like start knocking them off one at a time. It's very nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, I will never choose a game because it has an easy platinum or the trophy list is bomb or whatever. It's just a very good trophy list. It's just It's just a side.
Now, I will say, and I can't think of a specific example of this ever happening. I do get discouraged from buying a game if there is no platinum. Like, if there is no platinum there, it's just like, why? Why did you not include it? And it's not, like I said, I don't think I've ever not purchased a game for that reason.
But they're usually free games.
It's usually small games, indie games.
Foam Stars didn't have
like
a platinum.
Yeah, but that's always a bummer. So.
Yeah.
All right. Next, let's do sound/music. Okay, so obviously, I think of Nier Automata. That's one of my favorite games ever. Huge part of that is music. I put it at 15% of my pie.
Okay. Yeah. I'm at 10%.
10%? Okay.
Yeah. Like you said, I think it doesn't make or break a game typically. I mean, nowadays, sound and music is typically pretty good. There's so many great composers and artists out there making great soundtracks for every small game, like Chicory, and Lena Rain, that's soundtrack's amazing. And then you have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which we'll again cover. Yeah, which we'll cover again at the end of this episode. It's just, it does really amplify it. Or even, Helldivers, like that song almost makes the game pretty much. It just, maybe it doesn't make the game. It just puts that cherry on top to make it perfect. Mm-hmm. Like it really is something special. And
yeah, I mean, I was jazzed when I came into work the other day, and I was like, dude, Keiichi Okabe is doing 40% of the music for Stellar Blade.
Yeah,
my Nier Automata guy. So I was like, immediately, it rose it. It brought it from here to here. So
is Stellar Blade just a homage to Nier Automata? Like those guys loved it so much that they're like, I'm a billionaire. I'm just gonna make this game.
I mean, at this point, yeah, if you're reaching out to the people who had impact of the game, you style most of the game around it. You have a little floating guy with, like, how could it not be? So, more reason that game better not break my heart. Like, I think it's going to be very good. I just don't want it to break my heart. But all right, and then let's get graphics out of the way.
Okay.
What percent of graphics for you, Nick?
I have it at 25%.
Okay.
This is another
What
reason
graphics?
I am drawn to AAA games. I know you mentioned the performance part, and as someone who played all of Jedi Survivor in launch week and 50 hours platinumed it and didn't really have the performance issues that everyone was complaining about even a year later when John got to it. But I do like the AAA budget, Unreal Engine 5, big 3D video games.
Yeah.
I prefer them over indie games primarily for that and the gameplay that comes with all that.
Sure. Cool. Well, I have them at 10%, 10% of my pie. I think that they can elevate an experience, but by no means are they going to drive my experience typically. I think of Undertale as a great example. I loved that game. You didn't vibe with it very much, but that's fine. But yeah, that game is 0 on the graphics scale.
Right.
It's all everywhere else. So, but that's not to say that I can't, load into a Final Fantasy 16 or something like that and just be like, holy shit. Or The Last of Us 2. The Last of Us 2, when that came out on PS4, it was like, what the fuck? How can you do this? So it's important, but definitely.
And I'd probably add also to this art direction too. When it keeps coming up Hades. Just from an it's not a graphical powerhouse, but the art direction is so consistent and solid that it just enhances that perfect game.
That's a good point. That's a good point. If art direction is probably something that we should have had a bigger focus on, and that is Hi-Fi Rush, great example.
Right.
It's just so clean and so crisp and cel shaded stuff, and it can really or even like a small indie game like Gree, which I played a while ago. That game is just basically a side-scrolling walking thing, but because of the art style, it really, really elevates it. So that's a good point. And then lastly, my big boy, gameplay. So I got 45% of my pie is gameplay. Basically, I think narrative and gameplay, maybe we can flip-flop ours. I don't know. What's your gameplay at, Nick?
30.
30.
So,
Okay.
Yep.
That's fair. Yeah. So, I mean, a tight control scheme, a well thought out upgrade system, a good economy, just really making a character feel good in my hands is number one. That's why Hades is so good to me. Nier Automata, fast, fluid, fun to move around. Returnal. Those are the games, time and time again, that really, really stick with me. Mm-hmm. Even something as small and stupid as Brotato. It's a auto shooter, right? You're not doing anything besides controlling a potato, but the economy that they built, the upgrade systems, the leveling up your guns, those little type of dopamine hits is why I play video games. That is what I go for over anything else.
Right.
I love it.
And to just go back and look at it Suicide Squad, why is that game failing? And it is because this category, it hits everything else. The art, the music, the presentation, the graphics are there, but the gameplay's not. And that led to its downfall and why Helldivers 2 is doing so well, because the gameplay is there. Yeah. The loop is there and it's fun to play. So
gameplay's king, man.
It is.
So for me, number one gameplay, tied for number two. Well, I'm sorry. I guess if I include characters, number one gameplay.
Did you rank replayability?
I didn't.
Okay.
I would have put it at 0.
So did I. So
okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh, nice. So yeah, gameplay number 1, narrative number 2, sound, music number 3, graphics number 4, the meta, trophies, all that kind of stuff number 5.
Yeah. And I have narrative characters number 1, gameplay number 2, graphics number 3, sound, music number 4, and trophies number 5. So.
All right. I'll try and do some nice little visual of our pies and maybe tweet them out and stuff. Do you feel dirty every time you say pie like this? I do. It's weird.
No.
You don't?
It's a pie chart.
I guess I got to get my mind out of the gutter. Pie. What?
I wonder why he's so looking forward to Stellar Blade, people.
What? We're nerds that host a podcast. Come on.
Yeah, and of course, write in. What is your perfect pie? What is your breakdown in the video games we play? It seems our listeners have a wide variety of.
I just realized what is popping in my head with pie. It's Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Anyway, what your breakdown? It seems like all of our listeners have, as we talked about when we did our year-end wrap-ups, like it seems like all of our listeners have a breadth of games they're playing, and so it would be interesting if you'd let us know, what is the breakdown for you? What are you looking for when you are looking for the next big game that you want to play? So let us know.
I just want more things that prove that people are like me and not like Nick. So if you guys have, pies that are more like mine, write in.
All right. We're going to move on to our final topic. And of course, it's been our final topic for the last few months. And that is our video game character battle royale. Before John jumps into our final 3 matchups of round 2, let's talk about last week's. And John, of course, he was correct. And he had a hill to climb with Batman versus Sam Fisher and Isaac Clarke versus Rayman. And unfortunately, he did lose both those fights. So.
We were tied yesterday.
So they're much closer than I would have given them, but Batman. And
I mean, that's the right choice. That's
Rayman
the right choice.
Yeah.
I don't know so much about Isaac versus Rayman. That's just too silly of a matchup to even consider. But Batman would kick the shit out of Sam Fisher.
Sure. All right, so that brings us to the 3 matchups. Like I said, the final 3 matchups of round 2. We have Link versus Ellie. We have Sonic versus Joker from Persona 5. We have Zagreus from Hades versus Geralt of the Witcher franchise. So I'll just give it to you, John. Which one do you want to do first? And I'll start.
Let's do Ellie versus Link.
All right. Link is going to activate a skill called Dungeon Master. Link is going to tap into his experience of completing 84 dungeons over the past few games, including traps, which is a huge part of Ellie's repertoire, boss fights, enemies. So he's ready to go. He's looking inside himself and going, I've been through so much shit that one little girl on a revenge tale is not gonna beat me. So he's just like, he's raising all his stats right now. He's getting ready for battle.
All right. That makes my first attack so much funnier to me. So Ellie realizes that Link is kind of a soft-spoken little boy, right? He looks kind of like a girl. And so she figures I can kind of intimidate him, despite him leveling up. She uses feral yell, all right? She goes, I'll fucking kill you. You're going to die. Like she does to Abby, even though, she doesn't end up... Spoilers.
Easy here, Chief.
Doesn't happen. But so she tries to intimidate Link for him to just be like, oh, fucking what? This is who I got to fight? I'm used to Fantasyland. So
it's true.
Intimidates the shit out of him.
All right. So, his experience level is raised. Ellie's big deal is like sneaking around and hiding. So he's going to call on his companion, Navi, to go, hey, listen, and aggravate Ellie. But he can also use Navi to kind of target and spot Ellie when she's hiding in tall grass or behind the wall on the other side. So this small companion of Link, who he's used for Z targeting for years, is going to help him out in this battle.
All right. Well, Ellie counteracts with an explosive arrow. She was going to use it on Link, but she decides now she's going to use it on Navi and shoot that little thing with an explosive arrow. If you've ever seen what those do to blanking on the bad guys in The Last of Us 2, but they explode.
Wolves.
Yes, the wolves. They explode, so that little fairy is done for. I don't even care if I don't win this fight anymore. At least I can kill Navi.
All right. For Link's final attack, he's going to rely again. She's good at hiding. She's good at being around corners. He's going to go into his bag of items, and he's going to find the bomb chews. So bomb chews are mobile bombs that crawl around the ground, and once they get to their target, they explode. So if she is hiding in grass, she is hiding on the chest-high wall that is in a lot of video games now. The bomb chew is just going to go through the grass and blow up, or go over the cover and blow her up.
That is good. That is a good pull. Luckily, Ellie had her silenced submachine gun pulled out, ready to go. So combined with her effective listening skills, she can hear those bomb chews. She can shoot them to explode them, and then
I think
silenced.
You're combining two skills there.
You're pulling out Navi. That's an extra person. I'm not combining two skills. She just naturally is good at hearing. So she hears it, shoots it, and then can, shoot Link because he's not used to guns. He's used to bow and arrows.
It's true. It's true. Has there ever been a boss that has had a gun-like thing?
In Zelda, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What battle should we do next?
That's your choice, my friend.
Oh, okay. Let's just Sonic versus Joker.
Okay.
So you're going first.
All right. So obviously we know that Sonic is all about speed, right? So we have to slow him down. It's the first thing we got to do. We're going to not use Bufu, but we're going to use Mabufu because we know that Sonic is going to try to avoid the ice damage. And Mabufu is more of a expansive, hits all the enemies. So we're going to use that to try and slow him down, freeze him in his tracks.
Okay. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, that was my opening move is going to be super speed. This is Sonic's, thing. This is what he does. So, yeah, his thing. That, he's relying on his super speed, his ability to slow down time because he's running so fast to get around Joker and any of the personas that he's bringing to the battle. So.
Sure. Again, we know that Sonic is super fast. We have to ensure that we're hitting him, right? Because if we don't hit him, it doesn't matter. So we're going to use Cosmic Flare, which does severe nuclear damage to all foes, technical damage including burn, freeze, and shock. Seems pretty powerful to me.
Yeah, that does sound pretty good.
Cosmic Flare.
So Sonic's got to bring his invincible item box. That little item box with the little stars on it. He's gonna break it open, get his invulnerability. Yep. Play the music. It's a staple of all these platform characters. They all have an invincible item box. So.
Thanks, Mario's star.
Yep. So yeah, This is basically Sonic's star.
Okay. Well, luckily Joker pulls out Sinful Shell, which is a bullet made from the 7 deadly sins that can pierce even a god. Is the description. So the ultimate one-shot KO. I don't care if you're wearing a star thing or not. You're getting hit with the Sinful Shell.
Okay.
As long as I can hit you, hopefully.
All right. So speaking of Akira Toriyama, because this move was heavily influenced by the Dragon Ball series and Super Saiyans, because Sonic's going to go Super Sonic, which basically makes him all gold and his hair stand up.
One might say a god.
Yeah. That Sonic's going to go Super Saiyan, and he is unable to take damage. He can fly.
I'm just now connecting that's a Super Saiyan reference.
It's got to be.
It's got to be. I don't know why I'm just not thinking of that.
So, So hopefully he can avoid your God Killer and, go Super Sonic on Joker. So.
All right. And then final matchup of round 2. Geralt versus Zagreus. I believe you go first here, buddy boy.
All right. We're gonna start with one of the many boons that Zagreus can get. We're gonna start with Hermes. We're gonna, Geralt. He's a fast fighter. He drinks potions to enhance his abilities. So to match Geralt, he's gonna tap into Hermes for increased mobility, speed, evasion, and dashes. So he's ready.
All right. Geralt is going to simply assume that Zagreus is probably going to attack next. And he's going to use Quen, right? Protection used by Witchers to charm or mentally affect another being to hopefully at least protect him for the upcoming attack that Zagreus will have.
Yep, because I'm going to bring my favorite weapon of the Hades games, and that's Aegis. Shield of Chaos, a versatile throwable shield that is defensive/offensive. It's basically Captain America's shield. You throw it around, bounce it off walls. It's awesome.
If Captain America's shield could spin in one location.
Right.
Just keep spinning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is I wish we did the favorite weapon. I wish we had Hades as a favorite weapons game,
right.
For the end of the year stuff. All right. Well, we are going to use another sign. We're going to use Axii, which influences the opponent's mind, right? Zagreus He's a tough kid, but he also is a little mentally, I think, inept at times. Probably easily influenced. So Geralt's gonna worm his way in there and either get him to chill out, or maybe go hang out with Meg for a little bit, or maybe Dusa. I don't know. Gonna convince him to simmer down for a bit.
That's interesting because Zagreus is gonna do the same thing. He's gonna tap into another boon of Aphrodite, in which he can inflict weak or charm his opponent. And Geralt's weakness is really all the women he meets, all the female sorcerers that he bangs throughout that series, and he's gonna tap into that to try and again distract and confuse Geralt. So.
Okay.
Two dudes are going to be standing there confused.
Yeah, this is quite the last matchup. Well, Geralt is at least luckily going to pull out his trusty silver sword, specifically Erendite, which is one of the strongest swords in the game. He's confused. Zagreus is confused. He's just hopefully going to hit him at some point and, get him, I guess, because everybody's confused. I don't know how to get out of this one.
Right. Cool. All right. That's it. 3 matchups. Last matchups of round 2. So, all these will be on our Twitter at JoysticksPod. So you can vote there or write in who you think will win and who's wrong or who's right. We love it.
And then round 3.
Yeah. So I think next week we'll go over the winners.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go over the stats. Mm-hmm. And then I think we should draft.
Yeah. Draft, and then probably we'll have a actual back and forth. Right.
I think that's our plan.
That's the plan. These matchups are getting a little more personal, a little more serious.
Yep.
So maybe like a 3-minute timer just to put some sort of end on a discussion, but where we'll
work on that.
Yeah, where we can refute each other.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Yeah.
Where I can say no idiot, that wouldn't work because of this.
Right. So. Cool. Yeah, hopefully with the draft, again, we'll pick characters that we have a personal attachment to, that we know a bit more. I mean, we probably will get stuck with some characters at the end of the draft that we are not as familiar with, but that'll be fun too. So
yeah, makes me kind of sad that we don't get to do it. I like the randomizer is low key like my favorite part of the podcast. Where I go, ooh, what are we gonna do next? That's okay.
All right, so teases now. I mean, again, we got 3 big releases. We're all going to get reviewed by the time the next episode. Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting. If more games on our plate, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, I am personally going to Arizona tomorrow, so I probably will get through Wonder. That's like why I bought it,
right?
And I don't know if I want to bring my Portal or not. I don't have a case for it, so I don't really want to fly with it. Because it would be nice to see, can I play my PlayStation from Arizona?
You just put in your clothes access padding.
I should, or maybe even take some stuff here and just like take some bubbles or something.
Yeah,
So just I'll be doing that. I'm gonna have a weird week.
Yeah. So the podcast will again post late Tuesday because John will just be getting back. So, as I mentioned earlier, Hi-Fi Rush is out. I will at least check it out enough to have impressions.
Got to get to at least that first boss fight, 1 million.
Okay.
You'll know.
All
it's
right.
a 9 Inch Nails song.
Yeah. Get to feel that game on a DualSense. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we're hearing that's very good. Mm-hmm. So that's exciting. And, more Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm on chapter 11? 12? 11?
Do you know how many chapters?
I don't want to know. Don't tell me. Don't look it up. Don't you dare look it up. I'm toward the end. So the funny thing was
towards the end, and you're on chapter 12.
I would say I probably have a fourth of the game left.
Okay.
So, and just because you can tell by trophies, but I will say I was a little bummed when I was in the 5th region of the game, and these are big, expansive regions, tons of side quests, and one of the things is tied to a trophy when you've done all of them. And when I did it and the trophy didn't pop and they're like, oh, we got one more. I'm like, oh, there's a 6th region?
Jesus.
Like, fuck.
Yeah. Thank you, but also, ugh.
And yeah, I'm at over 50 hours already in the game. Pal of the show, Nick, is over 70. This thing's a beast.
Yeah.
It is a beast of a game.
It's one of the main reasons I was so quick to say no when you challenged me to playing a bad game, because like this is going to take me months.
Yeah, it's still wonderful and it's great all around. But I did have that like kind of like more than another region. Yeah, like Jesus. But yeah, it's.
Do you feel like at this point there's like like the third game is going to be a big, robust experience as well? Or because I've heard from some people that like it seems like there's not enough meat left on that bone.
Oh,
no, okay.
Good. They're gonna. There's plenty.
Okay,
you know,
cool.
There's a lot of areas that we're not gonna go to, and then like I said, even if you come back to these areas, they'll figure it out. You know, they'll make them interesting again. Yeah. So, yeah, that's gonna keep trucking through that. So. I don't know. There might be some news. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We always do.
Yeah, we always do.
88 weeks in a row we have. Well, not in a row, but you know. Yeah.
All right. So for the music, again, of course, we are going to the people over at Square Enix heard my cry that, you got to give us some of these songs on these soundtracks. Please do. And so they did just release 5 tracks of probably over 200 tracks.
Almost even more annoying.
For Rebirth. So we finally have a track from Final Fantasy Rebirth. And that's the main theme, the battle edit. I am assuming it is by Nobuo Uematsu because it is a remix of a theme that he's done before. So enjoy that song. So,
Word.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's it for us. And again, we always thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to spend it with us and talk video games. We appreciate it. So, all right. So that's it for this week. And again, we will be back next week with up to 6 things. Bye, guys.
See ya.